Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Gita Mary and today I want to talk about greenwashing once again. I want to react to, debunk and talk about two examples of greenwashing that I have recently encountered and simply just have a talk with you guys about some bogus advertising. Usually when I do these videos I introduce like 3 to 5 different instances of greenwashing, but today we have two. And the reason why we have two is that I want to take the time to react to them in a proper way, to dissect them properly. And I don't think I would be able to do that if I needed to talk about 3 other types of greenwashing. So we will simply stick to these two, but they are definitely also worth talking about. So let's just get right into it. Today's greenwashing ads are respectively animal agriculture and fast fashion, two very polluting industries that are doing a lot of work to seem less polluting. They're definitely spending a lot of money and a lot of resources to make sure that consumers don't think about the fact that they are incredibly polluting industries. And the first one is a dairy campaign. This campaign I encountered personally just in Denmark. It's on buses right now, it's on billboards, etc. And I also had a lot of subscribers and followers from Denmark and Scandinavia send me this ad. So a lot of people have seen it, which does make sense because right now it's everywhere. First saw it, I took a picture of it myself and then I found the ads online as well. But when I first saw this ad, my first thought was there's no country in the world that wants its citizens to drink milk as much as Denmark, to a frightening degree. Anyway, this ad is in Danish. This is what it says. Milk is a part of a sustainable diet. The ad is funded by the Danish Dairy Association as well as the European Union. And there is this fun little disclaimer at the bottom of the ad. Funded by the European Union, but the viewpoints and opinion expressed here are exclusively those of the advertiser. They are not an expression of the opinions of the European Union. The European Union will not be held responsible for guidance of a balanced and healthy diet. Oh my god. So they have helped fund a dairy campaign. However, they're taking all the steps to make sure that none of it traces back to them, generally speaking. Which is really fun because there are also definitely organizations that work with the European Union that are very focused on plant-based foods. So it's a little bit all over the place, first of all. The main advertiser of this campaign is the Danish Dairy Association, so I guess they just received funding at some point from the EU and they're putting it on there, but they're putting it on there quite a lot, I guess, as well, because that makes it seem more scientific or like something that's more factual, in contrast to just saying it's just from the Dairy Association. But there might be many other reasons as to why they are expressing it so thoroughly throughout the campaign. But I want to talk a little bit more about what it says, or like what the entire vibe of this thing is. So they did put children on the cover, but I assume this isn't only an advertisement to make children drink more milk, but generally to get the entire population to drink more milk. And I think it comes at a very interesting time, you know, where more and more consumers and adults, especially adults, young adults, are phasing out animal products in favor of plant-based products, and there's a lot more availability of plant-based products. So we're really seeing a lot of these campaigns that are not only appealing to the health aspect of dairy, but especially so to the environmental benefits and to the sustainability aspect of dairy, which is pretty hilarious. Not gonna lie. So the majority of both dairy and meat that's produced today, also in Europe, is produced with factory farming. And stating that factory farming is a sustainable practice is inherently a false claim. If we look at the impact of dairy milk as well as oat milk, rice milk, almond milk, etc., soy milk, all the different types of milk, we will see that dairy has the highest, by far, the highest impact, both in terms of water use and land use and general resource use and soil erosion, etc. It's incredibly resource intensive to produce dairy because you need to keep a really big animal alive, an animal that requires a lot of resources to be kept alive, and an animal that has a really big carbon footprint. I do, however, really want to underline, just so no one misunderstands what I'm saying in the comments. There isn't a one-to-one comparability with dairy milk and oat milk or any other kind of milk. There are certain nutritional benefits to drinking dairy. There are also things in dairy that you don't want to consume, but there are also things in dairy that are beneficial. But those things that are beneficial, like zinc and potassium and calcium, there are the proteins, the fats, etc., you can also get from a bunch of other types of food. So when people say, or when industries say, when anyone advises you and says that you need milk, it's not actually true. You need what's in milk, and you can get those things from plenty of other places. Nutritionally speaking, it isn't really advised to simply substitute dairy with another type of milk and assume you get the same nutritional value, because you don't. But you can find what you're missing out on in dairy. You can find those things in other foods. So that shouldn't be a problem. You can't just substitute them one, if that makes sense. Okay, anyway. Now, if we look at the ad a little bit again, I definitely have some pointers if you guys want to greenwash more efficiently in the future. And generally just things that I tend to look at when I am faced with claims from a company or an organization. So the first thing I always think when I see stuff like, this and this and this product is a part of a sustainable lifestyle in any sort of way, my first question will always be, why? And this ad does a really bad job at explaining exactly why dairy is a part of a sustainable diet. It's something that I always look at, and it's something that I think is really important that we as consumers are more aware of, because the word sustainable doesn't mean anything on its own. Sustainability is such a watered down term that can mean a million different things, because yeah, sustainability is a million different things. So when you promote a product or a service, it's simply not enough to state that something is sustainable. It's at least very low hanging fruit, and it's something that makes me instantly skeptical of any product, no matter whether or not I ethically agree with that product or not. I want to be told, I want someone to take my hand and walk me through the logic of why this product is sustainable. I know that's really difficult to do on an ad, but that's because you spend so much time having pictures of children drinking milk that you don't really have room for information. And I would much rather have preferred information. However, I think in this case it would be pretty difficult to put any information on a poster like this about why dairy is sustainable without misleading the consumer in one direction or another. Because so much research suggests that dairy and animal agriculture and factory farming specifically isn't and cannot be a sustainable practice. So I guess the main takeaway from this ad is, first of all, the dairy industry and the animal agriculture industry in general is getting pretty desperate at making people drink dairy. And whenever we're faced with claims like this and this is sustainable, it's a really good idea to do a little bit of digging, to ask why, to look for any kind of information. What are they doing to make sure that it's more sustainable than the status quo currently? Now, the next ad isn't actually an ad, it's just an entire website actually, and it's Shein. I didn't know that Shein had a sustainability page. I was honestly a little bit blown away, and I haven't looked into it a whole lot because I saw it was there, and then instantly I just saved the tab so we could talk about it together. So we're gonna go through Shein's sustainability folder and see what it's all about. If you are wondering why I'm talking about Shein, well, I recently did a whole impact analysis about Shein specifically and why it's the worst fast fashion company in the world. I recommend that even if you cannot phase out fast fashion altogether, that you at least phase out Shein, because it's an awful company. Through and through, it's an awful company. I cannot express my disdain for Shein enough. I hate this company so much. If you want to know more, you can either keep watching now, or if you want even more context, you can watch the entire impact analysis that I did on Shein. Anyway, this is their sustainability page. Honestly, we could even do bingo. I predict a lot of green color schemes. I predict a lot of fussy, feely wording that doesn't mean anything. A lot of vague, sort of just like, oh, we're in this together vibes. I also predict that there will be a large focus on tiny, tiny, tiny small aspects of sustainability. And very conveniently, I think a lot of the bigger impacts of their company will be left out. So let's see. Okay, let's start out. So first one I did know, it says our products, our planet, in green. We're starting out strong. Sustainable practices for a healthier planet. What does that mean? Okay, so if you did watch my other video about Shein, you will perhaps recognize some of these features that I will talk about in a second, but from a slightly different and oddly positive perspective. So first of all, while the others go big, we go small. This means we only produce 50 to 100 pieces per clothing to ensure that no new raw materials are wasted. Only when we confirm that a style is in high demand, we will implement large-scale production. So what they're doing here is that they're making it seem like a really good conscious thing that they're only producing a small amount of clothing, and other companies are producing vast amounts of clothing. But Shein, they're going small and they're only producing small bits of clothing. Less is wasted. That's good, right? So one of the major greenwashing red flags that I constantly encounter is when big corporations, billion-dollar corporations, are trying to make it seem as though there are family-run small businesses working out of the basement somewhere. And they aren't. Shein is producing much more clothing than any other fast fashion company in history has ever produced. Shein is introducing thousands of new pieces of clothing to their webshop every single day. They're adding thousands of new styles to their shop every single day. And yeah, some of them they only produce 50 to 100 units of, but they're still producing so much more clothing than any other fast fashion company ever has. Also, according to this report, one of the reasons why they're only producing 50 to 100 pieces of clothing is that then they can pay their workers even less money, and then they can produce even more styles. This makes them more able than other fast fashion companies to jump on trends more quickly and profit more quickly off of short-lived trends. It's not a sustainable practice. As though it wasn't enough that they're producing so little clothing and really being climate heroes, on their website it states that even their technology is environmentally conscious. Wow, let's see what that's about. Okay, our fabric printing process produces a fraction of the pollution of traditional screen printing, and we only use this process when there is demand for it, which means we reduce the consumption of raw materials. When selecting materials, we do our best to source recycled fabric such as recycled polyester and non-virgin fiber that has little impact on the environment and reduces damage to the original material. This is some of the vague stuff that I was talking about here. So first of all, one sentence that sort of stands out is "we're doing our best" means absolutely nothing. There is no statistic, no how much of the fabric you're using is recycled, how much of this sustainable screen printing are you doing, how much has the demand for your sustainable materials increased over the past few years, how much have you done? Nothing. They're showing no work whatsoever, which makes me believe that this is again utter bogus. So in order to see what their best actually is, I went onto their website and just found some random pieces of clothing. I found, one second, I'll find them. I just went on their website randomly to see what the material they're using is made out of, because if they're doing their best to use recycled fabric, I guess it would be pretty easy to find on their website, right? It says 95% polyester, just polyester. If it was recycled polyester, they would have put it on there, assumingly, because they want people to know what their products are made out of. Or maybe that's not, a huge priority. 100% acrylic. We have 91% polyester. We have 100% polyester. Here we have 94% viscose. And here we have polyester. And this is a sweatshirt. I cannot imagine a sweatshirt in polyester is comfortable. And here we have 100% polyester. If it was recycled polyester, assumingly they would have put it on the site. So just by checking some random products on the site, I didn't nitpick anything. I just went on there and looked what I could find, and this was the result. I would say that their best is probably pretty unambitious. Yeah, so let's continue down this page. Our warehouses and logistics are also kinder to the environment. Tell me how, Shein. Thanks to our automated systems that optimize workflow and reduce energy plus carbon emissions. How? Anyway, okay. Meetings are kept to a minimum to conserve paper and electricity. You cannot put on your website when you're a billion-dollar corporation that one of the noteworthy things you are doing to help the planet is have less meetings and print less things on paper. You cannot make this up, but I have bingo, because didn't I just say that one of the things that would be on this page was an abnormal attention to tiny details? That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I can only imagine that there has been a board meeting, or like some kind of meeting, one of the rare meetings that don't occur too often at Shein, and they were sort of talking about, hey, we need a sustainability page. Everyone has a sustainability page. Coca-Cola has a sustainability page. H&M has a sustainability page. We need one too, guys. Okay, yes, we should. But what should we put into the sustainability page? Steven, I don't know. We don't care about the planet. Remember? No, yeah, that's true. I'm sorry, I forgot. But what about this meeting thing? We don't do a lot of meetings, and we print less things on paper. We send emails. That's a good thing. Yeah, let's put that on there. You know what? Fuck it. I want to go home early. That is how I imagine this meeting took place. And our power and water automatically switch off when not in use. I hope you realize that this laughter is also panic. We also use solar-powered vehicles to transport products on site, which significantly cuts down on carbon dioxide emission. How much, Shein? You're just saying it significantly reduces them. That, again, that means nothing, because significantly is a subjective word that can mean many different things. Does it mean 50%? Does it mean 5%? Does it mean 75%? Does it mean 1.2%? I don't know. But so nice that they're using solar-powered vehicles in their own factories, but I assume not all their factories. So I guess we're talking about distribution centers and not actual factories, because they're using thousands of different factories. Assumingly they haven't invested in equipment, solar-powered new equipment for all of these factories. That would really, really surprise me, since you know there aren't even emergency exits in some of their factories. So that would surprise me. So I assume we're talking about distribution centers, which account for a tiny, 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 tiny fraction of the impact of the product. Let's continue. I am depressed. Our role in responsible sourcing. I have never heard a bigger oxymoron than responsible sourcing and Shein. We have a strict no animal policy. That means we only use faux fur and leather, and we prohibit animal testing on our products. All our offices and partnering factories must comply with our standards as well as local environmental laws. I don't know who needs to tell them that just because a product is vegan doesn't mean it's sustainable. It is true that a lot of products that are vegan are also inherently more sustainable, but specifically when it comes to fur and leather, simply having a product be vegan just means that it's not made from animals. You can have, and you do have, a million different faux fur, faux leather products that's simply just made from polyester, which means it's made from plastic. And it's a very unsustainable material to be using, but it's a very cheap material to produce, which is why a lot of companies are using it, because you can produce it very fast, which is ultimately what we want. But it's not made to last. It releases microplastic. It's not a sustainable alternative. So if your main sustainability angle is that you don't use leather and fur, but simply just replace it with plastic, I wouldn't call that a sustainability angle. Anyway, let's continue. Our role in recycling. I was wondering when something about recycling was going to come up, because recycling is a very easy step to take in order to get a more sustainable green profile. Recycling is a great place to start, but a bad place to stop. And honestly, a company's relationship with recycling, or how companies utilize recycling initiatives and recycling materials, tells you a lot about their ambitions with sustainability, because if it's the only thing they're doing, chances are they're not doing much. Chances are they're doing nothing. We've implemented recycling programs that encourages consumers to bring unwanted clothes to our pop-up and college campus events in exchange for Shein gift cards. The donated clothes are then refurbished and given to various charities to help people in need. This is definitely giving H&M recycling scheme energy. So H&M has had this program for a long time, where you bring your unwanted H&M clothes back into the store, you get a gift card, and they donate it or recycle it. However, a very, 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 very small percentage of that clothes actually ended up being recycled or given to charity. The majority of it was simply just thrown away because the quality wasn't up to par with the company's overall ideal of what the quality of the clothes should be, which is funny because they made the clothing. It's one of those greenwashing schemes that seems really great on paper, but logistically speaking, it's never working out. And for the majority of the time, it's also simply just an excuse to give people gift cards so they come back to your store. It's not really about recycling materials. It's not about giving to charity. It's simply just about getting customers to come back. And especially if they do pop-up shops and if they do college campus events to get students to buy their clothing or to donate their clothing so that they later can buy their clothing. Overall, this is extremely exploitative and extremely unethical. And the thing is with Shein, you know, if they really cared about charity and people, wouldn't they start by paying their own workers fair wages? Wouldn't they start by creating safe workspaces and work environments for their own employees, which they are not doing? As I said, many factories in China where Shein produces their clothing, they don't even have fire escapes. I know it's not as good press, but wouldn't you start there? If you ever see a company that wants to exchange gift cards, if you bring them something, it is not about the thing you bring. It is much cheaper for the company to simply throw your thing out, give you the gift card, and then you will probably go on their website and spend more money than the gift card is worth, and then they are still making money. It's cheaper for the company to just throw out whatever clothes you're giving them. Even donating the clothes to charity requires infrastructure, employees, it requires logistics. And I really doubt that Shein is investing in any of that in reality. It's just about getting people to buy clothes, and masquerading it around as though it has something to do with charity is despicable. Really. And then we're ending on an incredibly vague note. This is just a picture of a woman in a green coat, and then there are some leaves, and then there is the little Mobius triangle that sort of symbolizes recycling, and it says nothing, and it's setting the scene for what they think sustainability is, but really they're just ticking all the greenwashing boxes. This makes absolutely no sense, and I hope that looking at their sustainability site made it even more visible how unambitious and unsustainable and unethical this company really is. And with that being said, that was it for this video. If you want to learn more, I've left all the links to the sources I've cited in the description down below, and I've also left a link to the impact analysis about fast fashion, the impact analysis about Shein specifically, and the impact analysis about animal agriculture. So if you want to learn more, those are great places to start. Thank you so much for watching. Have an amazing day. Take really good care of yourselves. Until next time, bye. Thank you so much for watching this video, and also a special thank you to my Patreon supporters. You guys help me create green, zero waste content, and I love you guys. You can find the links to my social media accounts down below and the link to my Patreon on this screen. Bye!